Hello, and welcome to Soul SIS Podcast. This is our first episode. Today we have a special guest with us, Jamyla, which is the author now of Why I Got Naked. It is currently available on Amazon, and today we're going to dive in and let her share her story. My name is Laura Robertson. You can call me Pawn Power. This is Ms. D, the Dominitric, and then we also have Carlotta is the three hosts of Soul SIS Podcast. And today it's all about domestic violence awareness. We're kicking off this month with domestic violence awareness. And as you dive in a little bit more on Jamyla's story, she's going to share more about that. And we also have with us Sabrina as well, who is the CEO of Stonecatchers Counseling. So I would love for everyone to take a quick moment to introduce yourselves and then share a little bit about you and what you do.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dominitric. I go by D, where I am the owner and CEO of The Butterfly Effect. I am also co-partners with Laura and Carlotta and the SIS Podcast. We also do a lot of fun and exciting things together. But going back to The Butterfly Effect, I specialize in paralegal virtual services and administration services, where I spearhead business operations through community engagement, grant writing, policy writing, as well as mentorship. I'm also an author and a speaker, and we look forward to just building an intentional community environment with everyone, live and in person.
Absolutely. Miss Jamyla.
My name is, excuse my voice, guys. I've been losing my voice ever since I've been speaking out on my story.
Wow. Enemy is alive.
Exactly. So we're going to get that together. Exactly. My name is Jamyla Jacquet. A lot of people know me by different names. Mimi, if I've taught you in cosmetology school, and other different names. But I'm an entrepreneur. I've been doing hair since I was 11 years old and always have stayed in the field because I just love doing it. And I also had children, so I didn't want to have my kids going to the beauty supply to the beauty salon and the barbershop paying all this money when I can just learn to do it myself. So I learned to do it myself at a very young age, got older, had children, and just continued on that path. I do a lot of other things. I have my own podcast, Be Mindful as Fuck Podcast. Excuse me, auntie. And then I also network with a lot of people as well. So you always see me outside in the community, talking to people, giving back, just doing whatever I can do, pretty much.
Awesome. Sabrina.
My name is Sabrina Albert. I'm the founder and clinical director of Stonecatchers Counseling and R&B Counseling, which stands for Refugee and BIPOC. We primarily serve lower status communities of color, and we promote just and equitable systems of care. We know that there's so much oppression in the mental health care field. So 93% of our clients are on Medicaid, and we encourage clinicians all around the state to start serving lower status communities so we can promote this type of care.
Absolutely. Carlotta.
Hi, my name is Carlotta. Excuse my voice. Ever since I decided to speak out.
The enemy is a liar. Attack. We're open on attack.
My name is Carlotta. My first language is Spanish. Apart from being an advocate, I'm the founder of King's Clothing, which is a non-for-profit. We actually navigate through the source of fashion. I do styling and, of course, fashion shows as well. That's where I met some of the young ladies that are working here with us. So I came in as a stylist. Now I'm sitting as a host.
Motion.
I primarily do children's transportation. We've been doing that for over 10 years. And apart from that, we're going to be bringing forth a boutique, multiple locations to advocate for just everyday women and men as well, and children. So I'm excited to be part of this and enjoy this experience. Thank you.
Amazing. And thank you for all of you guys for tuning in. If you're tuning in live, if you're going to watch the replay, we just want to say thank you for tuning in. This is a very important mission that we are doing. Just a little bit of a background on Soul SIS Podcast. This started out as Blasian Soul Podcast, which myself and my husband, my late husband, started. He did recently pass away from cancer, and I know this has always been his dream, his vision. Back in October last year, he was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer and was told that he had less than 1 year. And so within that 1 year, he only made it 6 months. But during that time, we made the best out of every day. And he wrote down a list of everything he wanted me to do. And the studio we're sitting in right now is actually one of those visions. And he wanted me to continue to fulfill his mission. And this is what I'm doing. And God had showed me that in order to continue this mission, I couldn't continue it as Blasian Soul Podcast because that is our brand. Me being Asian, him being Black, we call it Blasian Soul, and we raised awareness within the Black and Asian communities. And so now, as Soul SIS, God had showed me the 3 sisters that all 3 of us has been through 20 years, voluntarily or involuntarily. We have just left our 20-year relationship with me being a widow, them being divorced from their 20-year plus relationship. And so we found strength in each other. And so with Soul SIS, SIS stands for Strength in Sisterhood. And so what we're building is beyond us, is bridging women together who are from different walks of life. It's bridging Asian women. It's bridging Latinas, and it's bridging African American, and a Caucasian are welcome too, but we're discussing things that really impacts the minority communities. And so we want to show that we can come together and we are better together. And so we can show that no matter what race you are, no matter what walk of life, no matter where you came from, if you were born homeless like me, you can still be successful. And that's the point of Soul SIS Podcast. And you can find out more on www.soulsispodcast.com. And so today we do want to dive into Miss Jamyla, because this is our guest. We want to learn a little bit about her journey, as well as, the book. So let's see what questions. We'll take turns, like maybe asking some questions. And so,
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
Miss Jamyla,
Yes.
can you share with us about your book and what motivated you to write your book?
So I got started about 4 or 5 years ago. I actually took the picture about 4 or 5 years ago. So this picture is pretty old. Lord helped me to put it together. So she helped with the cover. And what she did was she merged in very, very old picture of me, which is in crochet.
Yes.
You can see it a little bit.
Mhm.
I was probably like 12 years old. We lived in a motel in California before we moved back to Illinois. So those 2 pictures were merged together to create this picture. So I want to put that out there.
mm-hmm.
But about 4 or 5 years ago, I'm like, you know what? I want to talk about my story. I want to talk about the things that I went through, because at that time I was heavily in church and I was around people that were like, you have to tell your story, or you have to release the things that you're going through so that you can be who you're supposed to be. And I felt like at that time I was holding on to a lot of things and I wanted to just release. So I started to record and I started to write. I'm writing poems. I wrote my book and I just set it to the side and I didn't know exactly what I was going to do. And then just kept sitting on it until now.
So tell us a little bit about your book.
So the book the book holds people accountable, including myself. It talks about healing the child within. It talks about going within yourself and allowing yourself to be who you are called to be, and then expressing that and leaving what needs to be in the past. And then also in the back of the book, I have a journal prompt. So for people who read my story and they're like, you know what, I see what she went through. I understand it. Now, how can I get started with my healing journey? It gives you that opportunity to do that in the back. So with the journal prompts, it asks you questions, you can write in it, and then you can also start your healing journey, which is the best part about the book, to be honest.
Okay. And then if you could share a little bit about the title, Why I Got Naked, and a little bit about your story.
Yeah, so diving a little bit more into why I got naked. So around 2020, around the time where COVID was happening, everybody was trying to figure out life and, just everything was just happening. I decided, you know what, I want to shed. Again, I want to just fully be myself. I had cut my hair off. I was bald, skin bald. It felt good. The wind was blowing through my scalp. And I'm just taking off everything. So I started doing yoga. I started learning how to really take care of my body more, eating better, those types of things. And at that time, I'm posting these on social media because I was really heavy on social media doing things. And people were just like, oh, well, you should post, doing your yoga, or you should post your stretches and stuff. So that's what I was doing. So to the world, it looked like I was getting naked. It looked like I was just trying to get attention and show my body and things like that. But for me, it was just like, I feel free. I felt like I was releasing a lot of things. I was releasing shame. I was releasing hurt. I was releasing so much. And then I'm just that type of person. I don't like clothes. I'm hot right now in so many places. I don't like wearing a bunch of stuff because it just makes me hot. So it's like I had the minimal amount of clothes while I'm doing my yoga. But because that's another thing, because I could really feel like my body toning up in my arms and things like that without having all of these clothes on and feeling the sweat on my body. Like, I just don't like that, so that's why I got naked. So to the world, it looked like, oh, she's looking for attention. No, I'm just hot. Right. Put myself out there and just be free. Like, that's it. That's how it was. And then healing the child within, again, starting from inside of yourself, because a lot of people feel like you can point out so many things in other people's lives on how they should be doing things, but rarely do people go and work on themselves and start on the inside. So I feel like if you work on your inside first, then it projects on the outwards. It shows your beauty from the inside out, and people can see that, they feel that, and it makes them draw towards you. So it's like heal the child within you first, because we all have some type of baggage or some type of trauma within us. Once you take care of that, everything else is cake. It's a cakewalk. That's how I feel about it.
I wanted to ask a question. What was the point? Because I meant to say I'm also an author. I'm a business diva. What was the point that you consider being pivotal? Meaning, like, you went from a victim, survivor, to actually an author to put out. Because that's a bold move to put out your story. Like, I have poetry that I've been hiding since fourth grade. So I have to say, if I put that out, some people will be like, what happened was, that pivotal point, because I'm over 45, so I just decided, like, I'm gonna put my poems out, but I'm still in that process, delaying it. But I mean, I think I want to find out from you, what was the pivotal point? Like, what happened, or how did you feel about becoming an author? Like, why?
So it really came with the conversation that I was having with Laura. And I'm telling her about the things that I've been doing. I've been writing courses. I've been teaching and doing all of these things. And she's like, I'm doing all of these things as well. Tell me more about your story. So once I started opening up to her, she's like, you need to write a book. I'm like, I already have a book. I just been sitting on it. He's like, okay, well, I want to help you publish it. And I'm like, okay, cool. So in my mind,
we're going to do it in a week.
Right.
So it was already done. You just had to put it out there.
I did. So she helped me with the details, telling me, how many chapters I need, how many pages I needed, help with the structure and all of those things. And it was that moment where I'm just like, okay, this is going to be real. I started to feel the attack already, because you know how it is when you're really putting yourself out there. People don't want that. They're not ready for that, because there's so many people at the table as well that's going through it, but they've had to put themselves in the back.
They have to sweep it under.
They have to
the rug or the altar. We'll talk about that too. Yes. Because in church you're taught that, right? You're supposed to forgive your neighbor.
Yes.
They have an alt and so on and so forth. So.
And that was one of the things that I felt like that held me back. Because it's just like, you can forgive people, but at the same time, like, you still did that.
Yes.
I don't need to be around you. And that's where it, like, really messed me up in my head, because I was still around those people that did those things to me.
Yeah, see, it messed up my heart when I was told as a young girl, you have to forgive them and forget. So I was torn between, how do I forget what was done to me, when I didn't even think it was something done wrong till I got around individuals. And I was an adult when I was like, oh, this happened. And I was actually going through counseling or whatnot. And I was in a situation, a relationship, and I was like, I just want to discover, my feelings about relationships per se. And I was like, okay, we did the advocacy thing, the classes, and I'm like, oh, these are some of the things. And of course, sometimes you have a cycle of that.
Yes.
When you have other women around in your family, and I guess there's men that go through it too.
Yes.
I'm not saying guess, but the women
Yes.
that I knew were the ones who were talking about it privately.
Mhm.
But I'm just saying, as it pertains to the church, I think I've been around a lot of young girls
Yeah.
who've been vocalizing and telling me, people even close to me, like, I've
Yeah.
had this experience and that experience. So I know about that spirit trying to keep you quiet.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So now I want to turn our attention to more of the healing side and the therapy side, with us having the expert here, Sabrina being a CEO of Stonecatchers, as well as a clinical director, as well as, everything underneath the sun. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're hearing from the healing standpoint, and what are some things that our audience, maybe if they did deal with some childhood trauma, some of the things that they can do that will help them release it?
Yeah, definitely. That's a great question. So first of all, Jamyla, I just want to applaud you for the courage for you to be able to write this book, for you to work through the silence and secrecy and shame that so many of us deal with, right? Like, oh, I have this thing, but I can't show it because no one can know it. Or if they know this, then they're going to reject me, right? Or I can't say this, or I don't deserve this, or my voice doesn't matter, right? And I think, especially as women, a lot of times we can be very much quieted, right? And learn to be quiet around people and allow other people to kind of have the shine. So I'm so happy to be sitting next to you listening to your awesome story. I love the title, Healing the Child Within, because I am a therapist. I've been a social worker for over 20 years. I run a very busy practice, and so many of our clients have so much trauma, like living in poverty, domestic violence, sexual violence, things that they've been through, everything they've tried to do to immigrate to the United States, being treated horribly, things along those lines. And when they were younger, and this is for all of us, these parts develop, right? So for example, we may have a deeper exile that told us oh, you're not worth it, or people don't love you, or your parents hate you, or they called you all these bad names. Then we have these parts that may be a people pleaser, right? Because it's trying to protect that deeper exile. If I please, if I do this, if I do all these other things, then people will love me, right? So we all have these parts that come into it. And internal family systems is my favorite therapeutic model to be able to use, because we allow our clients to welcome all of these parts in, the controller, the anger part, the anxious part, everything, have a relationship with our inner family. And all of these parts develop usually in childhood, which taught us, I have to protect this person because they're not going to be able to handle the pain, right? So I just had a question for you about that. And a lot of times these parts take on these very extreme roles, right? I grew up in a household where women weren't really valued in Indian culture, and I felt really less than. And my brother was the god of everything, just because of so much patriarchy within Indian culture, right? So I had a lot of parts that were people pleasing or wanting to be like that, because it was protecting that rejection part, right? So that exile. So for me, that people pleasing or controlling became very extreme. For you, do you have parts, do you feel when you were younger that were or maybe even now that are very extreme, that you've learned to have a better relationship so they can soften?
Absolutely. So when I was younger, I definitely was a people pleasing person. And I always wanted to protect people. Even I was trying to protect my siblings as well. So I felt oh, well, since I'm going through it, I'll just keep going through it so that they wouldn't have to. And then I realized as I started to get older, no, you need to heal. But again, it took a very long time to even get to that point.
Of course.
And I think YouTube University taught me a lot, to be honest. Because I started looking at people that went through those things, and then they would talk about how they went through it, speaking to therapists and counseling. And I've also had counselors in my life as well, but everything didn't really come together until now, to be honest. So I started looking at those points okay, what am I doing that's not healthy? What did I pick up as a kid as I was going through these things that would really help me to leave all of that in the past and not be that person anymore?
Yeah.
So
for you and for anyone else, was therapy kind of frowned upon as well? Because I know for me,
it wasn't even talked
okay,
about.
yeah, okay.
It's
All
not
right.
acknowledged, right? Lack of acknowledgement, right?
Exactly. Yeah, no, the same as us, right? It's you're told to keep everything in the hush hush. Don't whatever stays in the family never goes out, and the family. And also, if you are seeking therapy, there's a name for it in Laos. In our country, it's called piba. Someone who talks to a therapist, they're called piba. And that translates to crazy.
Yes.
That translates to crazy. So they automatically label you as someone who's crazy if you are seeking help. So I'm glad that, we're able to, whoever is listening to us, to normalize therapy and to normalize that it's okay to not be okay, and to recognize it, and to also heal whatever parts of you that are unhealed, because like we've always talked about, hurt people, and healed people, heal people. So the more people we can heal, the more the world is better, right? Because of that. So I thank you for all of what you and your therapist does, and especially with the way that you have your practice set up with the different cultures and the different languages that your therapists speak. It's able to cater to different people, because I know that's one of the stigmas too. Like perhaps someone who's going to see a therapist, they don't look like them, or they don't feel comfortable because they're judging me already as soon as I walk in, because they don't relate to me. So I love the flexibility of all of the therapists that you have within your center as well.
And then we could just stay in the spiritual or in the church world. You go to the pastor or you talk to God. That's your two options.
Right.
Either you pray about it,
Absolutely.
talking to God, or you talk to the pastor and then he prays for you. You're not taught, like, what do you do with all the emotions, the feelings, the memories, the thought, the feeling of you feeling weird about just the whole experience. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah.
And then also in the African American culture, you're taught to also speak to your elders, of which some of those connotations also some are good, but some also get played out as well.
Yes.
So we have to learn to also develop our own beliefs, and also learn to keep some, because time changes.
Yes.
Everything evolves.
And if you are watching live, feel free to comment. We're going to check some of the comments right now to see if there's anything on there, Mr. J.
Gotcha. I'm asking.
Okay.
You could.
Love it.
Oh no, because on there too, you can also click there as well.
And I just want to also say, Sabrina, again, thank you. So
Yes,
everything, the therapy, the healing, and it takes a lot to recognize, first and foremost, hey, I have a problem and I need help. And it's time for me to seek additional help outside of the things that I've been domesticated to know how to do, because that's how I look at it. Healing takes domestication, because we're taught at a very young age.
Absolutely.
These are the options you have in order to move forward and to grow in life.
That's right.
So that's just my personal opinion. So even when you're saying you're cutting your hair off, that's a wait and takes hell moment to me.
I looked at that movie so many times.
I want to challenge. I have to challenge my cat. She said something. No names. No names.
Okay.
My business coach is talking to me about how you talk about things, right? Positivity, affirmations. She said something, I try to pay attention much more than I talk. That doesn't always work out, right? She said, I have a problem. So the fact that we have a problem is a negative thing. We have the concept or the connotation that if you have to talk about something or you have a need, when we go to the doctor, you have medical issues. If you go to have mental, you go see someone about that. So the fact that you think you have a problem when really it's you need a remedy to whatever you're going through, or whatever you're thinking, or whatever you're experiencing. So I'm gonna challenge you with that. I have a problem. That's why you need the solution. Where really sometimes you just need that conversation, that exchange of that positive feedback or any feedback at all.
But a lot of people are not aware of that.
Right.
Therefore, that's
so we're taught that we have a problem.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So therefore, before they get to that, they get to that stage once they advance.
I agree.
Yeah.
But
So
I think
they
that's what
have to
COVID
get
did
to-
for us.
yeah.
It made us stay at home, stay in, deal with family and loved ones, and not
How she was like, when I become this woman, I'm like, what do you mean when you become this person? You already are this person. We all have greatness within us. It's when we tap into it.
Absolutely.
You're like,
Exactly.
when we become that, well, no.
Yeah.
Change your word. Change your word.
But
But
that
that
was
happens
yeah.
over time.
It does. It takes
Over
time.
Absolutely.
Because you can't expect somebody to just walk in like, I am a winner. No,
Absolutely.
that type of mind frame, that type of talking gradually happens over time.
You got to come out
You
the cocoon to turn into a butterfly, right?
Exactly. Everything is a process. You can't expect
You have to
people
evolve.
walk in there and be like, I'm a winner, I'm a winner. No,
Right.
they're going to slip up.
Yeah.
They are going to make mistakes. They are going to like trip out. They're going to have good days and bad days. You got to allow people to be human.
What do you
They-
say
you
to
know?
individuals? So if you come
Right.
out and say, you know, a relative or significant other
Yeah.
did or said something to me,
Yeah.
that be considered, because, you know, your seniors go through
Mhm.
domestic violence.
Mhm.
How should we respond to people come back and want to, you know, challenge our thought, like that wasn't this or that didn't happen? Like, what do you really say to that? Because you know it happened, but
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're
don't
saying
act
like,
it didn't happen. So
right.
how does that exchange kind of go?
Yeah. So that's a difficult one, right? When you have elders that are coming to try to almost like negate the story, because
Yeah.
like one thing
Yes.
internal family systems talk about is cultural legacy burdens, right?
Absolutely.
These values and beliefs that are
Right.
passed on from generation to generation. And sometimes people get very protective of them.
Yes.
Like, and that's actually very big in domestic violence, which I
Yeah.
want to call out
Mhm.
Domestic Violence Awareness Month, right? Like this,
Absolutely.
you know, this power, control, don't be seen as weak and everything else like that. And elders can sometimes really promote that and try
Yeah,
to
for sure.
approach it. That's why I love that you said, hey, we have to challenge those. We can show
Right.
respect, but also say like,
Yes.
you know, maybe I want to break some of these generational trauma and curses
Yeah.
to be able to live differently and
Yeah.
break that cycle,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
So sometimes we need to learn who it is that we do want to turn to, right? And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we can just listen, but we can also advocate for the parts that feel very invalidated by that experience, right?
Yeah.
Because our parts oftentimes need validation. And when we hear people try to say like, no, you perceived that in a totally different
Yes.
way. No, you didn't. Like that can be, it can be interpreted the same way when somebody sexually harasses you and you say something, you're like, oh no, you're being overly
Right.
sensitive. You're just taking it out of context.
Yes.
You misunderstood, right? What does that do internally, right? And when we can learn to separate parts and realize that that elder who's approaching us maybe is not in a position to do that type of work, right? And that we need to just get a little bit of space from that
Yeah.
and not even necessarily always have to like try to challenge and fight and make our system go into overload, but just to kind of really just separate from that and kind of learn who we do need to turn to, where we can get and allow our parts to speak for themselves.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And normalize being able to talk about it, right?
Right.
And, breaking those generational curse, like you were saying before. And I'm hearing more and more now that people are finding out that we are doing this mission. People are starting to speak up, and it's so crazy that more people than none have gone through domestic violence at one point of their life or another, right? We're all like we talked about earlier, 2 out of 3 women
There's 4 of us,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
are victims. So me and you, you know, we're all been victims of domestic violence at some point or another. Same thing with men. The statistics says 1 out of 3 men are also victims
Mhm.
and but then those, what about the ones who are that didn't come forward,
Right.
that is not reported, right? And so because a lot of times you're told to hush, right? And there are some things even amongst us that we've kind of kept under the rug until now we're able to speak up about it, right? Does anyone want to share anything of their own personal story or journey?
So I grew up in a domestic violence household, right? So this is something that was very much normalized. And I feel like I had a lot of parts that were like caretaker, right? Like, or like fearful parts, like hide parts, right? Like that would be, you know, very cautious of like a lot of different things. I saw a lot of violence. I witnessed a lot of violence. So it changed the way that I had when it came to how I perceive relationships, how I perceive like dynamics between men and women. I saw some of those like cultural legacy burdens coming out where I'm in control, you will do what I say, right? And anytime that there was any potential even indication of disrespect, of violence, that would kind of like enrage, right? But like, as I've been doing my work on internal family systems, doing my own therapy work, which I see my therapist every week religiously. So I realized a lot of really actually extending curiosity and compassion, not just to the survivors, but also to the people who are inflicting these type of abuses. Because what I learned in there is so many of the people who are inflicting this type of abuse were actually once survivors themselves, right? And those parts, when they were really young, told them, if I don't become one of these abusers, I'm not the one inflicting the pain, the pain will be inflicted upon me, right? Or like growing up being beaten and feeling so rejected, and then the second you're in a relationship and your partner looks at somebody else, or you an indication they're flirting with someone else, all these parts come out, and it's like the rage, right?
Sure.
And I think a lot of times what we could do is even try to extend more compassion to the people who are have their parts, who are inflicting these type of abuses. Like, what can we do to be
Right.
able to help you too?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's good.
Yeah. So they might be a
Is that
survivor too.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
It's ironic that you mentioned all that because I just had a similar conversation with one of my close friends, and I said, yes, in support of domestic violence awareness, and she was just sharing her heart with me, and she was saying how we come from a community where we want to support each other. However, sometimes we can bleed on each other as well.
Yes.
Right.
And we can also, in recognition of supporting each other, we can also compete against one another
Right.
in recognition. And I said, oh,
Yeah.
and she was just sharing her heart. She was crying. She said, I want to support everyone. However, it feels like all attention is being put on me and I should be quiet and stop sharing my story.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, you're not.
Mhm.
I said, see, the same thing we talk about, the same thing we recognize and we're trying to share our story, we're bleeding on each other. Why are we doing this? This defeats the purpose.
Right.
And we don't even recognize it.
Exactly.
So you confirm everything I just said to
Right.
her. The
Mhm.
same thing I spoke to her and shared my heart with her about. I told her to keep sharing her story.
Yeah.
Her tribe would surround her.
Mhm.
Because it's sad because we all still are a work in progress.
Absolutely.
And we don't recognize
Definitely.
we're hurting each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And oftentimes it's the same part in a domestic violence
Yeah.
relationship. Like, the person who's inflicting the abuse may have an exile that's so afraid of abandonment, right? But the person who's a survivor may have a fear of abandonment, which is why what they stay.
Yeah.
So it actually oftentimes can be the same part, but the firefighter that's acting out is in a different way. I'm going to stay or I'm going to inflict pain, right? So my first job was in a group home for juvenile sex offenders, and it wasn't 5% or 11% or 20%. It was 100% of every child that was in there was once a survivor themselves. They had been taught to make child pornography. They had been videotaped. They had done. And then when they did the same act that adults had taught them to, now they're a horrible person who needs to be in this home.
So it's normal
labeled-
to do
right.
that behavior because
because
that's what
they
was done
did
to
it.
you
Yeah.
or
Right.
that was acceptable.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So one, it was curiosity. Two, it was, this is what I've been taught. And then there's also the, if I don't become this, then I will be the victim of it. Right. So
Mm.
that's when I really realized that shaped my entire perception of like, we need to give that curiosity and compassion to everyone, right? Instead of just one. Otherwise, because when I taught college for 13 years, all my social work students, almost all of them would say, the one group I will not work with is sex offenders. And I was like, okay, well, if a therapist won't treat
Yeah.
somebody
Wow.
who has this offense, who will?
Who will?
You cannot get upset when somebody reoffends if you are refusing to treat because you are not being part of the problem, right? So we shame people into reoffending in
So
every
how do they
way.
get healed?
How
Right.
do they- yeah,
How do they
how
get
do they
healed?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. The same with domestic violence stuff. Like, oh, wife beater, you're horrible. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, like look at how people look at Chris Brown or anyone who has done any type of, even if you'd have one act, it's like, we can, you know, just shame you instead of even trying to extend, like, what have you been through? I watched a documentary. He
Yeah.
went through watching his mom get beaten all the time, but like no one really wants to extend that, right?
Sure.
Right. So
Sure.
it's like, how can we do
Yeah.
give the compassion to the survivor and also to the person on the other
So
Absolutely.
it's almost like we're oppressing
Yeah.
each other
Right.
instead of building a
Right.
community like, okay.
To
Right.
heal together.
Yes.
side? Right.
Mhm.
So now it's us against you.
Yeah, right.
Or give guidance so that they know that behavior they saw
Mhm.
as a child survivor of that trauma.
Accountability.
Absolutely.
And get and taking action to heal the proper way
Right.
and putting in those resources.
So without giving away everything that you wrote in your book, what is one of the teaser stories that you would like to share?
Since my auntie is here, I do talk about my experience with my grandmother taking me to church and introducing me to music, which is why I'm such a music head. I sing every single day of my life. And that has been my safe place.
Yes.
That's been everything that I hold with me, music. And I will share that that memory. I don't remember. Auntie, do you remember what church your sister went to?
This near Baptist church.
You sure had that down.
Because I couldn't remember. I just remember
Yes.
being in the back of the church
Yes.
and the choir just being there. You know how they have their robes and everything, and everybody on one accord, and they're just singing. And it was like everything was just vibrating.
It was healing.
Yeah.
That's a traditional Baptist church. Like, come on.
Yeah.
No, I get it, because I was raised in flyers and so on. And people wrote,
Really?
yeah. So I was telling the ladies, remember I was telling y'all how we were in our little small Spanish church. You can hear this group of people singing, i.e. a choir, across the street. So I kept asking my mom, you know, she was very overprotective. So I'm the oldest. I'm like, I just want to go across the street to the church. She's like, yeah, but you don't know what they're doing there. We're doing it. No, so they're coming out with all the hats and the shoes. And I'm a fashion girl, right? So I should say that, you know, some of the outfits we have today, I design and style.
This is her design.
So with that being said, I went across the street. My mom gave me the opportunity. So when I went in there, it was just like, we had never heard a group. I had not, because you sing by lead, like kind of a, you know, just a one person singing and the congregation sings. That was call and response. So when I went in there, I heard like all these different voices and singing. It was just so soothing. So I get it.
Yeah, it was
It was healing. Yeah, it was soothing. Like, I love music.
Yeah.
And where can they get your book at?
So it is on Kindle, also on Amazon, or you can go on my website to get a signed copy from me at the number 1 jackee.com.
Amazing.
I love that. Good for you.
Yes.
Yes. Do any of you have any questions for us?
Oh, perfect. Okay. Ooh.
The
I
question
can't see it.
on the line.
Okay.
Oh,
She's gonna read the
Let me
question.
see if I can read it, just so I don't like mess it up. My question is, okay, so how does someone navigate seeking help? What options when it comes to those who are in place to help you are people who don't look like you and or give
That's what I was
cues
Yes.
that they are not intending on investing in your mental or physical healing or health?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So for anyone who didn't hear, it's like, how do you access care when you are sitting across from someone that may not be able to relate to you, or you feel like they're not motivated for your care? So this unfortunately happens very, very often. In fact, I operate in DuPage County, and the reason why I went back to the county where I was raised in and dealt with so much racial bullying and trauma from that is because there was not access to women of color, which is why all of our therapists, all 14 are women of color, multilingual, everything else like that, who all take Medicaid, right? Because we have to increase access, right?
Yes.
We need to just not just go past the language barriers, but we need to be able to sit across from people and say, I need to acknowledge my privilege in the room. Like if I sit across from a client who's Black, I'm going to acknowledge the fact that when I drive and get pulled over by the police, I can get pulled over without worrying about being shot. When I go in for an interview, I can go in for an interview without worried that I'm being discriminated against for the style of my hair. And that is a privilege. Like we have to talk to therapists who are willing to look at their own privilege, acknowledge their privilege in the room, and also acknowledge the differences, because there's too many therapists like, oh, let's just not talk about it. Let's pretend like it's not here. Like, no, because you are invalidating the experience of what's happening, right? Like the same thing when people say how they're colorblind and everything, it's totally invalidating. So the way to go about that is you can go on even resources like Psychology Today or Clinicians of Color, Black Therapists Rock. Like there are different therapists that specifically where you can find somebody of your culture. So that way, and you can just, if you're looking for a POC therapist, just a person of color. So my therapist is a Black female, and I found her on the Internal Family Systems website because I wanted an IFS therapist, and I specifically searched for women of color. And then I called anyone who was in that category, because for me, that's very important to sit across from somebody who knows what it's like to navigate as a person of color in the racist U.S. society that we currently live in, right? So there's a lot of different websites that we can start to access to be able to increase that. So I would encourage anyone who's looking for that to start making very specific requests, like even in Google and everything else like that, and to attend those sites so that way you can get connected to someone who you feel like can relate.
Thank you.
What was the hardest part of writing your book?
Writing it. No. The details, I would say. I did have to change some of the details as well. Saying who it was or the people that abused me. Also acknowledging, like, yes, they did what they did. And then I also created an avenue where I allow other people to come into my life and do what they did as well, because I didn't heal. You know what I'm saying? So that was really hard for me, because it was just like, why did you do that? Why didn't you try to ask for help, or did you ignore when people were trying? It was just a lot. It was like I was battling with myself. Like, should I write this? Should I put this out here? How will people look at me? Because social media is a beast. And it doesn't matter if you're right or wrong, they're going to have something to say.
Of course.
That's
And
why we
it's
got
like-
freedom of speech. So
Yeah.
kick off. But do
We
it.
did. That's like
Yeah. It really doesn't feel like you have freedom of speech, to be honest. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, it feels like people want you to speak up so that they can have something to talk about.
Right.
Or something to point at, or say,
So true.
I know this
That
about
doesn't
you.
matter. So
It
the fact you
doesn't.
have, I'm saying, you have to get to a point mentally or psychologically, can I say, that it doesn't phase you. I mean, it bothers.
Mhm.
You know, you get in your feelings, but you can't stop the voice
Right.
that has to speak from within. That's
Exactly.
why you're an author now.
Can I add to that?
Mhm.
That goes back to a conversation me and you had in my car the other day
Mhm.
when I said, once you know your own demons and your own shadows,
Mhm.
anything anybody say about
Yeah.
you, to you, or even what you hear, ain't gonna phase you because you already know your demons and your shadows.
Exactly. Exactly. And I feel like I've gotten over that a lot, but I have people that
Mhm.
come to me now
Oh
and
yeah.
they're like, well, how do you get through that? How do you write that? I don't think I can. So it's like now I'm trying to help, like assist them on
You're
that as well.
advocating, yeah.
Advocating
Yeah.
and just basically saying, just write it.
Yeah.
Even if you don't publish it, just write it.
So let me ask you, if you were going back in time at that moment where things occurred to get you to this book, what would you say to yourself
That
if you
little
were in that
girl.
situation, or to anybody who's listening that can experience exactly what you experienced
Mhm.
to get to the point where you got from there to a book? What would you say to them?
I would say, just write it.
Just right.
Just write.
Yeah. Just write it.
What about a word of inspiration?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, next.
My word of inspiration is just to continue to be yourself. Allow yourself to be present. I always speak about being present. I have it tattooed right here on my head. Just being present in the moment. Just even right here, I prayed for this. I prayed for women that had businesses, women that not just went through what I went through, but understand me and could see the value that I put here, and I see their value, and we can help each other. Like, this is not by chance. Like I tell her all the time, nothing is by chance. It's because we're aligned. I align myself with the people that I'm around, and I won't let anything come in between that at all.
That's right.
Nice. Sitting with entrepreneurs.
Mhm.
Let's
I love it. Yes.
There's a question from a guest.
Yes.
She says, for Jamyla, why did you choose that title for your book?
We spoke on it a little bit. So again, back in 2020 when COVID happened, everybody had to pretty much sit in their own shit and figure themselves out. So you started taking off everything, like everything, even your hair.
Yeah.
I took off the hair. So for the people who know, I took off the hair for real. And it was very empowering.
Yeah.
It made me feel good about myself. It was a little different. People were looking at me like, do you have cancer? I'm like, are you okay? Like, are you having a Britney moment? Should we call somebody? Are your
You were
kids
shedding
fine?
everything, right?
So yeah. So I felt like I was shedding a lot of things. I was letting go. I was releasing. I just wanted to just be free. So I got naked. And then I started healing from within. I stopped looking at the outside, what everyone else liked, my curves, my face, my makeup, my hair, and said, let me heal what nobody can see, what I feel.
So you expose your nakedness.
Absolutely.
That's exposure,
Absolutely.
freedom.
Yeah, that's so empowering.
Yes.
Once you know,
Yeah, you
what can you do? You know what I'm saying?
That's liberating.
Exactly. I forgot the comedian, but he was like, he's so funny. He's from Chicago. He was like, people were talking about his mother being a crackhead. He was like, I told y'all, so what you gonna say? Make me feel bad about it. I told you she was a crackhead. Now what we gonna do? Yourself out there, what can people say?
Right.
You know what I mean? You can speculate, you can point, whatever. It is what it is. I've already moved on from it 10, 20 times.
Yep.
So
That's
to
right.
me, this book is just to put it out there,
Mhm.
let it be known so I can move on to the next book, move on to the next chapter.
So you apply that to the social media part, okay?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
this is done. Okay, what's next?
Exactly.
What else? What you got for me?
Exactly.
Like, what else?
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship sounds.
Hey.
Exactly.
After what you've been through and after writing this great book. What are you most grateful for at this point in your life now after you've been through all that? What are you most grateful for right now?
Children.
What did you learn?
I learned, again, to be present. I learned to be in the moment because, again, when you're going through things, and then when you've been traumatized and you're trying to reflect and things like that, you're so ready to get out of it and put yourself into the future, but you don't realize that this is the future. Like if you sit right here and you just absorb everything, you can enjoy everything that's happening. So that's, to me, like, just be present.
Absolutely.
Whatever that means, meditating and just allowing yourself to breathe.
Absolutely.
And to acknowledge that survivors look and are different individuals. You know, we can be entrepreneurs, you can just be and the person working for someone else. You know, there's male, women, and seniors, children. So it looks different for different people. So
And this is breaking generational curses.
Absolutely.
This is what that was for me. This was breaking the generational curses, speaking up. It made me uncomfortable. It made a lot of other people uncomfortable, and they're going to still be uncomfortable, but it's okay.
Okay.
We
We're
all
moving
That's
on.
right.
We can heal together.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's it.
It can be a
And
healing
hopefully we can
journey
change the
together
statistics
and,
so people
and
are
change
aware.
the statistics and be able to have an open dialogue with things like this. And, you know, I could see why, you know, people would ask or reach out to you and ask like why would you, well, wait, let's move back to like what you said about, you know, the social media, right? Critics, right? So that's one of the things I feel like a lot of people are held back from sharing their story because you are thinking about, because I held on to my story for a few years until I was like, okay, fine, release, right? And then when you start to get these messages like, hey, you saved my life. Hey, I went through the same thing. Hey, if it's for that one person, who cares what the other people say? Because I feel like we went through all of that in order to be someone else's survival guide, right? To help pull them up. That's why God put us through the journey that we went through. It's not for, it is for us, but it's more than us. Sometimes I feel like it's also to help other people be able to have that strength and empower them. When we share our voices, then everyone else starts to get empowered to be able to share their voice too. And then we can all heal and move forward together.
Absolutely. Yes, I definitely agree. Definitely agree. Yeah, you lift up another person just by you sharing your story. You don't know how many lives you saved or changed.
Yes.
So keep speaking.
Keep speaking.
And keep sharing. And keep showing up.
Absolutely.
Don't give up.
so others can heal the child within.
Yeah.
That's right.
Keep fighting.
Yeah. Because
Keep moving
like
forward.
when you sharing your stories, like, oh, I don't want to see how the other people think or who I'm talking about in there, what they're going to say or what they're going to think. Well, they shouldn't have done that to you.
Yes.
They shouldn't have done what they did to you. Like, that's how I feel, right? So when I wrote my book and I'm sharing all the stuff about other people, I'm like, well, y'all should not have done that to me, right? So I'm sorry, you know, so sorry, not sorry. You know, whatever. Yes.
Here's another question for Jamyla.
Uh-huh.
The question is, what is the forgiveness part of your healing?
What is
Ooh.
that? That's a
What
good
is
question. I'll use this example. So for one of the specific people in the book that I speak about that did what they did to me, the forgiveness was having that conversation like, I forgive you.
Right.
But because that person was still in my life, I felt like it was forced. I wasn't really able to hold my end of like forgiving that person. It was like I had to keep reliving being around this person and all the things that I went through while trying to heal as well. So for me, forgiveness is forgiving them, like honestly forgiving them, seeing what they did as what they did, understanding if they were a victim, because I was told that they were a victim as well, but also not sweeping it on the rug like it's not my story. So I can forgive you and move on. We don't have to be in the same room together.
That's right.
We don't have to celebrate nothing together. We don't have to do none of that.
Right.
And then for the people that's around, hold that person accountable for what they did. Watch them, you know what I mean? And allow the victim to be who they are and flourish, because sometimes we don't get to take up the space in the room. It's you gotta okay, it is what it is. So now go back to your corner and just let everybody do things how they want to do things. So it's like, yeah, I forgive you, but it looked like you having more fun than I am.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So if you're going to forgive somebody, forgive them, move on. Don't be in the same space as them so that you can live your life how you should live your life.
Yes,
Yeah.
I definitely agree.
Yeah.
And just to add to that, thank you for sharing that piece.
Yeah.
Because we do speak about healing.
Yes.
And then that question was spot on because like, okay, what you healing from? What are you getting out of this healing?
Yeah.
Like, really?
Yeah.
But the forgiveness piece.
Yes, the forgiveness.
Because you can
piece.
forgive and let go.
Yeah.
But then even that requires time.
Absolutely.
Yes, because like you said, the perpetrator is always still connected to the family, and the person that dealt with the abuse often is left astray and considered the black sheep of the family.
Exactly.
Right.
They're to blame.
I'm just going to be straightforward and
Yeah,
honest
they-
Like
because
you did something wrong.
It's true.
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes,
For sure.
Yeah, seriously. Oh, you revealed the family secret.
Yeah.
Oh, you should have kept your mouth shut. Or you
Yeah.
know, I'm speaking this because I am a product of that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah.
Happens all the time,
absolutely.
particularly
So
to women.
continue, yes,
Yes.
continue.
Yeah.
And they continue to be repeated offenders
Mhm.
or whatever offense they continue to commit.
Right.
So thank you for sharing your
For
voice.
sharing your story. It's gonna
Well, the
inspire
Bible
lots
talks
of
about a lot of stories. The only reason we know
No, there's
Yeah.
Yes.
they wrote about it.
Yes. All right. So, anyone else have anything in closing to share?
I just wanted to thank all of you for your honesty, your openness, your candor, for having us here. I mean, you all are just really amazingly beautiful women who are so strong. I look up to all of
Takes
you.
one to know one.
I love hearing from you and talking to you. So thank you for allowing this space for our systems to lend our systems to everyone and to be able to all heal together.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you guys. If you're watching the live, the replay, we appreciate you. Every Sunday, we will be doing this on 75 Market Street in Elgin from 3 to 6 o'clock. The podcast is from 4 to 5. But before that, we have resources, collaboration for you after that as well. We have resources and collaboration for you. Can it still hear me? Okay. Sorry. Okay. And then also just join us next Sunday if you can, 5 to 8. We have our domestic violence fashion show, the Victory Walk fashion show. Is going to be at Old Republic in Elgin. And with that being said, have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. We love you and thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
That was great.
That was great.
Still live.
That was great.